This is a story that's been building for a while, and this week it's got a step closer. Andy Burnham has confirmed that if he does become Prime Minister, which is looking very likely, that he intends to introduce some sort of restrictions for VPN use. Now, I'm thinking that's probably going to be age verification. Now, whether that works in practice is a whole separate conversation and one I've covered before. So, in this video, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to look at it from a different perspective. If mainstream VPN providers operating in the UK are forced to implement age checks, what can you do? Are there any alternatives if you don't want to throw away your privacy and comply? No panic, no speculation. I want to build you a practical map, a toolkit, start you on a journey of alternatives, if you like, of what actually exists. So 7 options, what they are, how they work, and where you can get hold of them. Now, I've put chapters in this video, you should see them in the timeline below. So if you're already familiar with some of these tools or you're looking for a specific one, you can just jump straight to it and ignore the rest. Now, I've tried to put the most accessible options first and the slightly more technical ones later. But if you're new to some of these, I genuinely recommend watching it through. A couple of the options here don't get much attention in these conversations, and I think they deserve a lot more. So 7 options, let's go through them now. Now, the most obvious starting point, of course, is what about all the VPN providers that are based entirely outside UK jurisdiction? A UK age verification requirement can only really compel companies who've got a legal presence in the UK. What it cannot meaningfully compel is a company with no UK assets, no UK bank account, no UK staff, and simply no interest in complying. And there kind of are quite a lot of these, really. There's Mulvad VPN, which are based in Sweden, Proton VPN, based in Switzerland. My preferred VPN has always been NordVPN. They're based in Panama. Now, all these companies have publicly and repeatedly refused to comply with data requests and surveillance demands from governments. And of course, they don't log connections. Now, in Mulvad's case, you don't even require an email address to sign up. You can pay in cash in an envelope by post. But I want to be realistic here. The UK could put a lot of pressure. They could do things like force payment processors to decline non-compliant providers. It could pressure app stores to stop them. ISPs could receive orders to block known VPN server IP ranges, although that would become a cat and mouse game pretty quickly. So offshore VPNs are not completely immune. And a lot of privacy-focused VPN providers outside the UK are very likely to refuse to build age verification into their products. But unless they have assets, staff payments, channels, app store distribution, or a strong commercial presence that UK regulators can lean on, forcing compliance is not straightforward, but it's not impossible either. Personally, I think many will just leave the UK market. The risks to the bigger commercial ones would be too great to operate technically illegally. But of course, you might still be able to buy their services unofficially too. Okay, next up, Tor. And I want to be clear up front, Tor is definitely not a VPN. It's a different architecture entirely. Traffic through Tor is encrypted in multiple layers, the onion analogy here, and routed through a series of volunteer-run relays. Now, each relay only knows the step immediately before it and the step immediately after it. Not the origin, not the destination, not the full path. And the implication for age verification is significant too. There isn't a Tor Limited. There isn't a Tor headquarters in London. The Tor project is a US non-profit, and the relays are run by volunteers in dozens of countries, and you can't age verify a volunteer network. Now, Tor is much slower than a commercial VPN. I want to be honest about that. It isn't hard to use, and general browsing works pretty well, to be honest. Streaming, HD video, not so much really. But for secure anonymous browsing, it's one of the most robust and available tools out there. So there's also a specific feature that I think is particularly relevant here. They're called Tor bridges. Now, these are unlisted relays that don't appear in the public directory. They exist specifically to help users bypass censorship in countries that block the standard Tor network. Now, these OBFS4 bridges disguise Tor traffic so it doesn't look like Tor traffic to all these deep packet inspection systems. Now, the technology was designed for places like China, Iran, or Russia, and the fact that we're now discussing its potential relevance to the United Kingdom is something, well, it's quite remarkable, honestly. Anyway, I'll link the Tor project in the description, and yes, this is probably a full video on its own, too. Now, this one is genuinely remarkable, too, and the irony is, I think, worth noting. Shadowsocks was originally written in China. Specifically, it was developed to bypass the Great Firewall of China. It's not a VPN, but an open source encrypted proxy protocol, whose core design feature is that it disguises your internet traffic as ordinary HTTPS. So it looks to a deep packet inspection system like completely standard web traffic. Now, V2 Ray is a more advanced solution of the same idea, a modular network proxy framework that can impersonate HTTPS, WebSocket, or even other standard protocols too. Now, the objective is always the same, to be invisible to censorship infrastructure. So this is the situation we're in. The UK here would be building an internet regulatory architecture, which is starting to look like the Chinese model in order to protect our children. And the tools that Chinese users have developed to bypass that architecture are, of course, freely available now. They're open source, they're actively maintained, and well documented in English too. I find that quite something. I mean, these tools are more technically involved to set up than a commercial VPN that takes basically 20 seconds. But they do work, and I'd expect interest in and the documentation aimed at English users to grow substantially if all these restrictions tighten. Okay, next we have I2P, the Invisible Internet Project. It's definitely less well known than Tor, but I think it deserves more attention. Now, where Tor is primarily designed to give you anonymous access to the standard internet, I2P is more of a self-contained parallel network or intranet. It uses what's called garlic routing. Now, messages are bundled together and encrypted through a series of unidirectional tunnels. No single node ever sees both the source and destination simultaneously. I2P has its own internal ecosystem of services from messaging. There's ones for file sharing, forums, and web service as well, and they only exist within the I2P network. For our purposes today, the relevant point really is, like Tor, there is simply no I2P company. It's a protocol. You cannot serve an age verification requirement on a protocol. And I'll be honest, I2P has a steeper learning curve than Tor. And for external internet access, it's definitely less straightforward. But it does represent a genuinely different architecture. And I think it's worth being aware of it as part of this sort of wider landscape that we're looking at. Now, this one I'd recommend to anyone who's reasonably technically comfortable. I'm certainly not an expert, and I want to be specific about that means. You don't have to be a software developer or a network engineer. You just have to be willing to follow a guide carefully. Now, a self-hosted VPN works like this. You rent a virtual private server, a VPS, from a provider who is obviously going to have to be outside the UK. Now, Hetzner, based in Germany, Vultra, based in the US, DigitalOcean. There are thousands of them, many options indeed. They're typically, I would pay about £3 to £5 a month. That's only a fraction more than I pay for my NordVPN service. Discount available in the description, by the way. Anyway, you install WireGuard on that server. WireGuard is an open source VPN protocol. It's modern, lean, and widely considered the current gold standard. It's often an option in most commercial VPNs to use as a protocol as well. You configure your devices to connect to your server, and then you have a private VPN that consists of exactly one customer, you. There is no company providing this service. There is no UK-based operation. There's nothing or nobody to age verify. Now, a German or a Dutch or an American VPS host has no obligation whatsoever to implement UK age checks on your private server. Now, there are lots of tools as well, like Algo VPN from Trailer Bits, who are a respected security research firm, which make this significantly more accessible too. That's essentially, I think, a one-command setup that it handles the entire WireGuard configuration for you. Now, I'm going to test that out. I haven't used that myself, but Outline VPN from Jigsaw as well, which is Google's technology incubator, is a similar option, which is designed specifically with censorship circumvention in mind. Now, I'm going to do a full work-through video on this because it's quite easy if you get the right steps. And also, I think it's genuinely underused by most people who are more than capable of setting this up. Now, I didn't know whether to include this, but I've sort of cut it, but I've left a brief mention. Now, encrypted DNS helps stop DNS level filtering and lookup logging, but it doesn't hide your traffic at all like a VPN. But what's worth knowing is your DNS queries are all in clear text. So if you're not using a VPN, your ISP could see every domain you looked up or visited. DNS over HTTPS encrypts those queries. If you want to do this, and they're available for free, look at Cloudflare's 1.1.1.1 DNS server or NextDNS, which will give you this. It's not a VPN, but it's a meaningful privacy layer that's actually very difficult to stop at a technical level. Okay, well, last one. Now, arguably the most technically advanced, but also, I think, probably the most interesting long-term anyway. Now, mesh networking projects like Yggdrasil and CGDNS, they create encrypted peer-to-peer network overlays, if you like. Now, your device connects directly to other devices running the same software. No central server, no company. The network are the other participants. Now, the architecture is, I think, genuinely difficult, even probably impossible for a centralized regulator to address. There's really nothing to block at the infrastructure level. There's no operator to put an enforcement notice on. But I want to be realistic about this. Current adoption is relatively limited. Have a look at their web pages. They're both really interesting. And their practical use cases for general users are still early days, really. It's definitely not a download this and you're done solution, but the trajectory is fascinating. And let's remember, privacy infrastructure tends to develop in response to regulation pressure, and mesh networks represent one of the most compelling longer-term directions for that investment. Is it a new internet? I don't know. Take a look. I'll link resources in the description below too. So the UK government does have real tools. We have to remember this. It can pressure payment processors to decline subscriptions or payments to any non-compliant VPN providers. It can instruct ISPs to block VPN server IP ranges. It can make operating a service that targets UK users while ignoring UK law a huge problem and a huge legal liability, irrespective where they're based. But what it cannot easily do is block a protocol. WireGuard traffic looks like standard encrypted traffic. Tor OBFS4 bridges are by design not in any public list. There's no Yggdrasil IP address to block because the network is its participants. The realistic outcome, if national VPN age verification does actually happen, is probably this. Casual users will move to any providers who comply with the law, or they'll stop using VPNs entirely. Now, technically motivated users and people with a genuine privacy need will move to the tools or something very similar to the ones I've just described. That, I suspect, is broadly the intended outcome for the government. The policy isn't really designed to stop everybody from using these privacy tools. It's designed to address a specific set of behaviors in a specific demographic. So to summarize, and of course nobody really knows what's going to happen, but here's my guess anyway. If mainstream UK VPN access does become age-gated, I think offshore non-compliant VPN providers, the big ones, are going to storm off. They'll probably still be accessible, at least initially. Who knows, might be for a longer time. Tor, there's no central authority. The bridges add extra resilience. You've got Shadowsocks and V2 Ray, Chinese circumvention tools that are now directly relevant here. Sad, isn't it? I2P, a different anonymous network architecture that could be used. A very simple solution that's not that difficult, self-hosted WireGuard, your own private VPN with nobody or nothing to regulate. Encrypted DNS, certainly have a look at it. It's a meaningful baseline that's very difficult to mandate against, but it doesn't encrypt all your traffic. And mesh networks as a longer-term decentralized direction that could become a reality. Okay, some of the ideas of the future videos I'm going to possibly do. I'm not promising 100%, but these are my ideas anyway. Depends how this goes. It's quite a bit longer than my normal video. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Stay safe, stay private, and I will hopefully see you in the next video. Bye for now.